Are you ready? Stand by.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Three Gun Show. I'm your host, Dave Hartman, and this is episode 259 with two-time Tactical Games Elite Champion Jared Halbert, and we talk about all things tactical games. We talk about some Three Gun too in there, but mostly the tactical games because I'm going to be shooting this March of 2020, and so selfishly picked Jared's brain on how to train for it, and so we get into that. And man, we talked about a lot of things. This is a long one. You're going to love it. Some fun things to talk about before we get started here. When this week's show comes out, I'll be at TriggerCon in Bellevue, Washington. I really like this show. It's so cool. They have like a range day, they have a media day, and then they have general public day, like all in one show. It's really cool. And then they have like all the cool firearms companies are there. All the ones I'm associated with are going to be there too. IWI, JP Enterprises, Vortex Optics, and many, many others. I will be in the Vortex Optics booth the entire time unless I can sneak away and go check out a bunch of the cool stuff and bring my camera gear with me because I'm really excited. So if you're going to be at TriggerCon or you're in the area and you think you might want to go, definitely go. Come say hi at the Vortex Optics booth. And we'll talk some Three Gun, and make sure you tell me your name when we meet. And we'll take a picture or something for the gram. It'll be fun. Also this week, I have a new video dropping on YouTube, so be sure to check it out. I can't tell you what it's about. You're going to have to go look for yourself. So 3gunshow.com/YouTube, and that'll take you to the main page, and then just look for the latest video right there. I guarantee you're going to like it. I worked hard on it, so I hope you enjoy it. And finally, last thing before we get started here, I want to tell you about JP Enterprises. I've been telling you about that JP LRP07 that I have in 6.5 Creedmoor, the one that kind of looks like a Black Widow. I'm setting that bad boy up to shoot the Vortex Extreme. Well, I've got it set up with a bipod now, and I picked up a bunch of PMags to throw in it, and then 120 grain ELD match to put in those PMags. As soon as I get back from TriggerCon, I'll be heading up to Colorado to train with my partner Mike Griswold of Rocky Mountain Targets, who will also be shooting his JP LRP07 in the Vortex Extreme. We're going to have a good time. I'm really excited. This is my my first long-range match with that LRP, and it will be trekking through the beautiful mountains of Douglas, Wyoming. Kind of nervous about that because I've been in I've been in Texas for the last bunch of months, and the elevation surprisingly is something to deal with. But by that time, I'll have been in Wyoming for the Wyoming Governor's match, Utah for a few days, and then back to Douglas for the Vortex Extreme. So hopefully, I'll be acclimated by that time. And I'm training too. I'm stuffing my backpack full of junk, and I'm doing it. So, from what I can tell, a lot of the shots that are at the Vortex Extreme. This is mostly based on the Vortex Nation podcast and talking to Garrett and Dylan, Garrett Grover and Dylan Easley, who won the gas gun division last year, which we're competing against this year, which, you know, us Three Gunners, we like to help each other out. So hopefully all the information they gave us is correct. But from what I can tell, a lot of the shots will be prone. So I've been dry firing the LRP across my house. And man, just having like a beautiful, complete factory rifle that makes you want to take it out of the safe and handle it more frequently is a great way to dry fire. It's so awesome. Even though I'm just lying there, it has made dry fire way more enjoyable. Just can't wait to shoot it. Get one of your own at jprifles.com. Tell them Dave sent you. I don't know if that gets you anything, but it'll be nice. Now on to this week's show. In this podcast, we discuss how Jared Halbert got into shooting, how to train, or how he recommends training for the tactical games at the elite level or at the beginner level, or just getting back into it like I am, and what to expect from the games themselves and what the future holds for the tactical games. Then right at the end, Jared gets into a story of overcoming great adversity that has brought him to where he is today, and it's absolutely incredible. I was moved, and I know you will be too, so enjoy this interview with Jared Halbert. Jared, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you having me.
It's great to have you, man. I'm glad to have you here in the studio.
Yep.
Thanks for bringing by all your wonderful toys for us to play with here.
No problem.
We're here talking about the tactical games, and so you've got chest rig, belt rig, and a pistol, and another pistol.
Yep. Yeah. I just after the first two events, I switched to a pistol AR from a rifle, and I mean, I didn't really notice any difference between the two, but I like it because it's cool. So.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into that, into gear and how you have your setup and how your the setup's gonna change over the next few games and years to come. But before we do that, let's get into Jared the man. So I know you from shooting 3-gun with you for a couple of years now.
Yep.
You live here in the Austin area. Who's Jared when he's not not on the range?
For about 9 years, I owned a landscape irrigation company, and then I started a septic company after that. And recently, I sold the landscape and irrigation company, and then I still have the septic company, but I call myself retired.
Yeah.
Because that really only takes about a half day every week of work. I may have to run out and do something every now and then, but mainly I just get the paperwork done in about a half day. And my wife retired, so I've delegated some responsibilities to her as well.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of making up for lost time with my kids. I was real busy for a long time, so I spend a lot more time with them now. They're kind of still at that age where they're really impressionable and want to be a bigger part of their life, and that was one of the driving reasons why I decided I was fortunate enough to be in a position where we could, retire, and I sold my business, and so I still get paid, but I don't have to work anymore.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's like the Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week kind of thing.
Yeah. 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 And sometimes it's like a day or two a week, but most of the time it's about 4 hours a week, right in there. So,
do you find yourself now that you're retired? Do you find yourself like looking for things to do, like trying to figure out new businesses or just things to occupy your time, or is just hanging with the kids like a full-time gig?
I do. My natural tendency is to be self-employed and constantly doing things. And I do, some investment stuff that I don't call it work. After the stuff I had to put up with for a long time, it's kind of just a hobby. I find myself wanting to. I see an opportunity and I want to do it, but I just hold myself back because I'll put that in the pocketbook for later.
Yeah.
There is some stuff that I'm involved with right now that'll be coming out pretty soon, but it's.
Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to give us a sneak preview?
I'm pretty sure everybody will know in about a month.
Okay.
So but yeah, I gotta.
Everybody. So that means it's within the.
Yeah, it's within shooting sports. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So the goal is for that to take some time initially, but then not so much time.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see we'll see how that turns out. Normally, you think that it's not going to be that much work, and it turns out to be a lot of work. But we'll see. I think it's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. That's like the 3-gun show. You know, the I guess the perception is like I chill and watch Netflix all fucking day.
Right.
But as you know, as like someone who does their own gig, it's like there's way more things to do than you can possibly imagine.
Absolutely.
And none of them, or I guess, let me rephrase that, like 25% of them are fun, and 75% is like adult stuff that you must do to maintain a lifestyle.
Yep. I mean, I tell everybody I got into irrigation because I did not want to work in an office, but I've decided that no matter what business you own, if you become good enough at it, you will sit behind a desk.
Yeah, that's true.
Eventually you start hiring people because you get busy if you're good at what you're doing. And next thing you know, you're sitting there and you're a counselor, you're an accountant, you're everything you thought you never were going to have to be. Especially, I mean, for a septic company, you know. Yeah. Anyway, it turns out you're going to end up behind a desk if you're good enough at what you do.
Yeah, and that's like the goal, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
The other thing I was thinking about when you were talking about like your entrepreneurial spirit is when I was in a cubicle, like all I could think about was like, hey, 30 years from now, I'm going to retire and I'm going to travel the country. I'm going to see Montana, you know, and now I know that within 12 years, the entire earth is going to be burnt to a crisp.
Yep.
So that was a pipe dream. But like that was all I could think about, you know, and then like the weekends of, you know, where am I going to go? What adventure am I going to go on? My 2 weeks a year, what can I do? But now doing the 3-gun show and you know, several other things are like sort of outside the norm of the way like society has taught us to be factory workers and you know, ring the bell and go to lunch and and make money kind of thing on Friday. Like being outside of that, like I don't see retirement as like a thing. Like I just see eventually, you know, if I look far enough ahead, like my life will just be a series of endeavors and things like that. And if you're able to do it and it's interesting and it's good work, why retire?
Right.
I never understood that before.
Yep. And that's, you know, when I decided to slow down a lot and sell the business, and the other thing that I found is if you were good enough at what you were doing, people took notice. And then when they find out you have time, opportunities start opening quickly.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like a trap you can get caught in because somebody will come to you and be like, hey, you know, we want you to be a part of this. And like, yeah. And then like a week later, you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that or not. It's like I just stopped. Like I want to appreciate this for a minute. So, but then staying busy is healthy. So that's a line I got to walk is laying around and doing nothing's not good for you. So we'll see. It'll be interesting when the kids both go back to school. Because I guess for a couple months they were in school. But when both of them go back, we'll see. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
See what I do. So
that's an interesting point you bring up about like if you're good at something, people want your help in other areas.
Right.
It's not like you're I mean, we all had that like deadbeat buddy in high school, right? That just like bounced around from pizza joint to burger joint, you know, jobs and shit like that. It's never like when he's out of work, people are like, oh man, I got this great business idea I need your help with.
Right.
He's like, oh, that sucks, dude. Well, see you later.
Yeah. 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 It's like, man, I really, you know, I'll call a friend and see if I can get you a job.
Yeah.
But
where you don't have to interface with customers or fill out paperwork or
I don't, you know, a few people would, you know, lose a job or have a friend that needed a job. It's like, like just send them in and I'll get them to work. I don't think they realized what they were stepping into with an irrigation company. Yeah. It's like, here's your pick. Good luck. You know, it's going to be
digging holes.
Long day. It gets easier after a couple of weeks. Like, it's hard to explain. And none of them made it past lunch the first day, but, it's definitely interesting to see when somebody says they need something and you give it to them, how they take it or not.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
depending on what it is.
Yeah, I've been there though. The I've had shit jobs when I needed them.
Mm-hmm.
And one time a friend tried to get me on at a, I don't remember how he sold it. I think it was like a home improvement company or something like that.
Yeah.
What it ended up being was installing those like skylight tubes. You know that? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? Like, there's a unit on your roof. There's like a reflective tube, and then it goes to like your laundry room.
You're
and now
supposed
you don't
to
need
not have lights.
Yeah, now you don't need to turn your lights off. I mean, it's brilliant, right?
Right.
But I'm not very good with heights. So that obviously was a bad fit for me. And after going around with the dude for a day to, get like the lay of the land and for like kind of an interview thing, he's like, you seem kind of skittish up here. I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't think this is going to work, man.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite jobs, a bus driver for a little while in College Station, for College Station ISD while I was going to school down there. And that was one of my favorite jobs, coming right out of Walmart. So it doesn't get much worse than Walmart. And then being a bus driver was surprisingly fun.
Really?
Yeah.
It was like a city bus driver, or was this
No,
for
it was
schools?
for College Station ISD.
Oh, no
Like
kidding.
the school, yeah. It was just a bunch of college kids. It was perfect because the morning route was before the morning classes. The afternoon route was after your afternoon classes, and we got paid like $19 an hour or something.
Oh, wow.
like that.
So you did this in college?
Yeah.
Dude,
And,
that is a great job.
Yeah, because most of my other friends were working for $7, $8 an hour. And
Yeah.
we were working 20 or 30 hours a week, making more money, and
That's
it was
legit.
it was a good job. Yeah, I liked it. So it's
Nice.
good to be around the kids.
That explains the big truck.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so when did practical shooting come into the into the picture for you? Like, did it start with 3-gun?
It did, and I can't remember. Yes, it did start with 3-gun. My first experience was, I think, in 2016, the Texas 3-gun championship. My dad had a sponsorship spot that opened, and he told me, like, yeah, I think it's a really relaxed deal. Like, people just go and have a good time. Like, this isn't that big of a deal. And I
guess that's true depending on who you are.
Yeah.
Some people take it way too serious, and some people just for fun.
Kyle Semank was still shooting back then, and he knew my dad, so I went up there and I was gonna meet him, but of course I was early, and so I was like, well, I'm just gonna go walk around and figure this out. And walked up the first stage. I was like, man, why do people need 3 guns? Like, I can shoot all this with 1 gun. Like, I don't understand. And then I looked over, and Jerry Mitchell is standing there, and I had been a fan of shooting sports forever.
Right.
Like on Sportsman's Channel, I would always watch it when it was on. 3-Gun Nation, I would watch that back in the day. And I knew who he was, and I immediately knew that my dad had lied to me. So I finished like 0.1% away from the 50% gun.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like I didn't just bomb it, but Di Muller, Ryan Muller, Lance Dingler, somehow I got into this group. Matt Carricker, the guy from Demolition Ranch.
Oh, yeah.
So somehow I'm in this group.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, Di is like the nicest lady in the world to new shooters.
Mm-hmm.
And man, they carried me through that one. I had probably the dumbest. But luckily, me and Matt, and I think it was the guy that was the CEO of F1 Firearms at the time.
Oh, yeah. Shoot, his name escapes me.
Yeah, but we
people are screaming it at their
all 3 of us
iPods right
had
now.
no idea what we were doing. So it was very good, and then we just kind of had a competition amongst ourselves, like who's going to win between the guys that don't know what's going on.
Nice.
So it turned out to be a lot of fun. It was good.
Were you on Demo Ranch then? Can we go back and watch that? And
You could probably see
fail?
me like passing in the background, but I wasn't somebody you would want on camera, probably. Pretty uninteresting, quiet person, so I probably didn't make that one. But I think the F1 Firearms guy, he DQ'd on his last shot of the last
That's right.
stage.
He like turned around, didn't he?
Yeah, he was going to come back up to shoot a target.
Yeah.
He left, and he got the old stop.
Yep.
So that's unfortunate. But
Was it with a shotgun? Like he turned around and was like loading it. I don't remember what it was, but it was like so freaking blatantly obvious.
it was his pistol,
Was it a pistol?
and it was empty. He was out of ammo, and I think he was going back to get a mag he had dropped that still had ammo in it to shoot the last target or something like that. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Whoops.
but it was a baptism by fire straight into Texas 3-gun championship. Never shot the gun that I had shot over probably 50 yards.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like probably other than Vortex, like one of the most long-range intensive matches of the year. And no reticle. I mean, it was just like the old-fashioned hunter cross.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so I was just like a 300 aim at their head, 400 aim higher. Yeah, I didn't.
That's funny.
So
I always think about those old reticles, and like your dad, your grandpa, my dad, my grandpa, they all had one, right?
Yep.
Were any of them hitting shit at all? Like that's what I wonder about. Like how did they go hunting if you're supposed to like hit an animal in the vitals? And I don't recall anyone in my family ever talking about holdovers. Do you just shoot a cartridge big enough that it's flat out to 300 yards?
So my family's from West Texas. I'm not, but like that's where my dad and all his family's from. So they have, it's the 270 and 22-250 area of the world, and they talked a lot about how like if you see a deer, I'm going to tell you how far it is, and then this is how you're going to take half the deer's body height.
Oh, okay.
And aim that much over at 300 yards. But I'll let you know what to do. And so that's how I started learning more like the Kentucky windage. It's just, hey, a deer's this tall. This bullet's going to drop this much, so you aim half a deer high. And that's a super scientific way to do it.
Yeah, no shit.
There's probably a lot of people like, that's not ethical. But well,
maybe it's just my family. It's a bunch of hooligans then.
Yeah, we just shot big guns to make sure they went down. But yeah, I mean that's how we always did it, and you just got to make sure you have enough gun if you're going to do that.
Yeah, no kidding. So after the first Texas 3-gun championship that you shot, what did you think? Were you like, oh, that was neat, and just go back to whatever you were doing, or
immediately I was like, I'm hooked.
Really?
I'm doing this for like I'm going to be back at the local next weekend.
No kidding.
Whatever. Didn't touch a gun for like 4 months, and just got busy with work. And then me and a buddy that lives on my street, Chad Sellers, I don't know, his sons got busy with baseball, but he stopped shooting probably before you moved into town.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I went to an IDPA deal just because like you read online, like start here and learn the basics.
Right.
We never went back to that. I had enough. And there's a guy that was kind of a prolific figure that we learned later down there that would just not leave Chad alone. But then I switched to USPSA, and I was like, man, this is different. I like this.
Yeah.
And so I shot USPSA for probably 3 or 4 times. And then as soon as I switched to 3-gun, or switched back to 3-gun and like got all the proper stuff I needed. I mean, Kyle did a good job telling me what I needed for basics to get started. Then I started shooting. I never went back to anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good time. It's hard to go back to 1 gun when you can have 3.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think there's like I think there's a certain demographic or actually demographic's probably wrong. Psychographic. I think there's a certain personality that's attracted to 3-gun that, the other 1-gun sports just seem like boring or not enough or
too formal almost.
Too formal? Yeah. I think too formal is a good point.
It's like they're so concentrated on the discipline of that 1 gun that they get too formal with it.
Yeah.
And
it's like karate, like super
almost spiritual.
Spiritual, right?
Yeah.
And then 3-gun is like drunken American boxing, right?
Fast and loose.
There you go. Yeah.
Let's just do this.
I like that. Yeah. So, and honestly, that's what draws me to it more because I shot 3-gun first as well, and then started participating in a local USPSA club match, which was a great match, and it was great for accelerating my pistol skills. But just that spiritual and the finesse portion of it,
right?
And like it's almost like a choreographed ballet where if you get like 1 half step wrong, like you just blew that stage, you might as well go home. Like I didn't like that part of it.
Also, I like the aspect of 3-gun that you don't have to be super technical with your footwork.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You don't have to be. There's several different ways you can skin that cat.
Yeah,
you
can overrun a position and come back and still win the match.
And you can be super aggressive, like physically, and make up for time, or you can be like. I like watching Daniel, Jurassic, and Aaron Hayes, mainly because I watched them when I was beginning, and it made things progress really fast for me. But like, Aaron doesn't ever really move real fast, but he's always, and Daniel the same thing, and they're almost boring to watch when they shoot.
Yeah.
But they always land at the exact right spot at the exact right time, and they're ready to shoot when they get there.
Yep.
And you can be like that, or you can just be super fast. Pick your decision.
Well, so as you're talking about that, I was thinking like a contrast to that style, to Daniel's style, would be someone who moves very fast, like a Joe Farewell, right?
Right.
And so if you take Daniel and Joe, I should probably do this, like get their stage videos from Vortex Shooter Source, like all of them, put them back to back,
right?
Because then they ended up second and third, right?
Yep.
And I know Kyle Litzy won the match. I'm leaving him out because I haven't watched him shoot that much. But I've watched Daniel and Joe shoot a lot. And that would be an interesting thing to see because you're right. Like, Daniel doesn't ever look like he's doing more than a jog.
Right.
And then Joe looks like he's sprinting throughout the entire thing. You know?
Somehow Daniel still wins. So frustrating.
Remind me I said that. So I when we hit stop, remind me I said that. Yeah. And actually, I'm going to take a note. Dear Dave.
It's like you see Daniel shoot, and you're like, God, I work so much harder than him. How does he still beat me?
Yeah. So. I mean, that's a really good point. Okay, I just wrote that down for people listening at home. But that's a really good point. Like, you can watch people that are, like, effortless at it, and I think like I kind of lulled into that when I started, because when I started shooting 3-gun, we were still doing that underhand shuffle into the shotgun, and that, you're taking measured steps because you have all that time to load, and now you're just like full out sprint, stuffing quads, or in your case, throwing a new magazine in there. Yeah. But I think I got lulled into that pace, and then it took a while for me to break out of that. And I think one of the things that really illustrated it to me was I saw a GoPro video of Matt Kupica shooting a shoot house, and I think it was the 2017 3-Gun Nation Nationals that were up at VIR, and you could hear him between positions going like he was getting after it, and I was thinking like, I did not work that hard to get between those positions. I should have ran way faster. Right. So I mean, there's totally different levels to it, and obviously different styles, and they all seem to work well. But yeah, that's an interesting contrast. So let's make a segue. I think that probably is like the same way in the tactical games, right? Like there's different styles for competitors. So let's intro that. Like, when did you first learn about the tactical games?
I think I know it was on Facebook. Mark Roth made a post about like, hey, I think I'm going to try this, and I think maybe he was maybe kidding a little bit. I don't know. It's hard to tell with Mark. He's super nice guy.
I thought all those guys were kidding when they were talking about it. Yeah,
and I looked at it. I was like, hey, I like shooting. I like working out. Like, I'm going to go. And so anyway, that's how I found out about it. And then they actually came. It was a good group. It was the first one. It was in Mississippi, or not the first tactical games, but the first one that we went to was in Mississippi, and it was good. It was cool. I mean, it got Ravin Perry back out.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Ravin is super cool. He's been on the show, and I met him at 3-Gun Nation Nationals like 2015, I think, and super nice dude.
We're in the same, they call them battle groups, but we're in the same group throughout the competition. So I got to see firsthand. He runs like he floats. Yeah. Just like he's floating. And he shoots real fast. I mean, it was frustrating. He and when he finishes, he looks like he just got like out of the shower and finished brushing his hair. And I look like warmed over death every time. He was so put together when he's finished, and I feel like I'm gonna die every time. Yeah. So it's good. It's fun. But
Well, let's talk about that for just a moment. But we're gonna take a quick pause because the camera has a 29-minute limit.
okay.
So we'll pause real quick, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
All right.
We left off at Ravin Perry running like a gazelle.
Oh yeah, clearing jams smoother than I can shoot a gun without a jam.
Yeah. Now, so that was like the 3-gun invasion, right?
Mhm.
I think I actually heard someone from the Tactical Games call it that. And that was like their first experience with actual shooting competitors rather than tactical athletes, right?
I think there had been a couple come through before that. The lady that won this last event, she was a 3-gunner at one point.
Was that Carla?
Yes.
Yeah, Carla
And,
Herzdig. She
yep,
was on
yep.
like the FN team, I think.
Yeah. So she I think this was the second time she had won.
Mm-hmm.
She may have won before, or at least done really well before. I can't remember exactly what Tim said at the end, but I know he said something about this is either second time on the podium or second win. I can't remember.
Got it.
Competitive shooters have been through before, but I think it was the first time that it was like, 7 or 8 in
Okay.
one event. Yeah.
So instead of like just being small little outliers, there was like an actual group
right.
where it could
Yeah.
not be ignored that, oh, hey,
Yep.
they're here.
Yep.
So what was the reaction from the your fellow competitors?
I didn't really notice any reaction. I mean, there was a time when there was 2 separate times. One when Ravin was shooting, and the guy made a comment like, "Oh, he's shooting fast. He's missing up there." And then another time when Jeremy Moore, there was they call them battles, not stages. There was a battle where you could press your gun into a railroad tie on the ground, prone, and shoot a steel target that was like 60 yards away, a C-zone. And Jeremy dumped 10 or 20 rounds on it, and about as fast as you would think he would.
Yeah.
And there was definitely some comments from the peanut gallery on that one. And at the end, he's like, "Well, he hit them all," And so I think that there was a speed shooting component that they maybe had not. I mean, I'm sure they've been exposed to people shooting guns that fast, but not that accurately,
Right.
that fast.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like it's like the 4-minute mile, right? You have to be shown that something is possible,
right, and then everybody can.
and then everybody can do it.
I can't, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I saw you do it once. Come on.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll say it.
It's like that. Like I remember in my first club, thinking like the best shooter in my first 3-gun club was like a god, you know, and now being exposed to dudes like Scott Green and Josh Freilich and the aforementioned Jerry Michalek and Daniel and Joe, and I mean the list goes on. That guy was an A-class shooter,
Yep.
no slouch, but
Right.
definitely not the best shooter in the world.
Right.
But because my frame of reference was so narrow, it was like I was just blown away every time he shot.
Right. They
So-
and it looks unattainable at first.
Yeah.
Like, no way I'm going to be that good.
Yeah.
And then, 6 months later, you're beating the guy.
Yeah,
So it's-
I mean that's really true. And I heard this on Joe Rogan's podcast. Like he said that he went to a state competition one time. His martial arts. I don't remember exactly what he did.
Jiu-jitsu,
Was it
I think.
jujitsu?
Yeah.
Could have
Yeah.
been. Well, that's what he does now. I don't know
I
if
don't know.
jujitsu was a thing at the time.
I think I remember him saying that he did it when he was younger. But
Okay, whatever discipline it was. There's so many out there, and I have no frame of reference. That's a deep pool that I have no experience in. But anyway, so he went to a state competition, and the level of competitors and the things that were happening at that competition, he said, like blew his mind so hard that he didn't even know that they were possible, but it expanded what he was able to personally do because he knew that other people could do it. He saw like those people can do it. I can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've always had that attitude. Like, well, if he can do it, there's no reason I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, and the weird thing is, like, as a youngster, we kind of like deify people. People do that with like business people, like Jobs or Trump or whomever you want to, the du jour entrepreneur we look at.
Right.
And athletes as well. But all that shit's like attainable with the right amount of work. And you got to realize like they're just people. And that's one thing that I really like about doing the show is you realize people are just people. Like these aren't like the gods of shooting. It's like that's a dad, and he goes and has his boss yell at him at work, and he has to make salmon patties for dinner, like that kind of thing. Like there's definitely things that everybody has to deal with, and I don't know where I was going with that, but the idea is like you can anything you can see you can attain if you put the right amount of work to it.
Yeah. It seems like you build barriers for yourself.
Yeah.
You see one person can do one thing and you're like, all right, I can do that, but you don't realize you could probably do more than that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Dude, it reminds me, this is going to get kind of weird, but it reminds me of one time when I was at Lockheed Martin. We all had these like big ass whiteboards because I worked with a bunch of engineers, and there was a fly on my friend Chris's whiteboard, and my friend Matt went up with a dry erase pen and drew a circle around the fly. And that fly stayed there for like an entire day. It would walk to the edge and it would not move, and it didn't fly away.
Huh. Weird.
Yeah, he trapped that fly in that fly's own mind. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. I went home that night and I'm like, I got to quit this job.
So is that what smart people do? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what smart people do.
Yeah. It draws circles around flies on whiteboards.
Yeah, that guy Matt is like, he was the most brilliant mechanical engineer I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was also a very ornery fellow. So he would do things like trap flies with dry erase pens.
Smart people are weird too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He was the most normal smart person I knew. But all right, so back to tactical games. Thanks for letting me go on that tangent.
Yep.
The your first experience there, how did it
go? A lot better than I expected it was going to go, to be honest with you. I showed up, and there's this kind of Hispanic guy. His name is Chris Alvarez, I think is his name. I should know it. I've seen him several times. But he just happened to be the one standing there without his shirt on when I stepped out of my truck. And I was like, crap.
Oh,
like,
yeah? Is he huge?
Yeah. Like he, jacked.
Yeah.
Just a brick house. And like, man, I may have got myself into something that I don't know. I don't think I need to be here.
Well, you signed up for the elite squad, right?
No, I signed up for the intermediate.
Oh, you did?
And then Dylan was like, well, I'm going to do elite. So I was like, okay, I guess we're going to do elite. We'll do this. And then I really regretted that, and I was upset with Dylan because I was like, man, we're going to be those guys at the end that's like finishing, like in CrossFit, you're done with the workout, and then there's several people that like 10 minutes later finish the workout. I was like, that's going to be us, except they're going to be waiting for us to get out of the way so they can start the next heat, And I was just sitting there, I was like, crap, drove all the way here to Mississippi. This is going to be a long day. And so anyway, it turned out better than I thought it was going to. Pacing is an important part of it. And I guess I was able just to pull from what I knew I could do in CrossFit. And that's kind of what kept me reeled in, is like, I know I can't just go out 100%. I gotta keep this reeled in, because this is going to take about 10 minutes, and I don't know anybody that can sprint this for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
that's something that we were talking about before the podcast, is like partitioning things and knowing your pace and what amount of work you can accomplish in a short amount of time.
Right.
How long have you been training in CrossFit?
I started CrossFit about 3 years ago.
Okay.
A little over 3 years ago now, I think, right in there.
So immediately when you stepped up to a battle in the tactical games, did it like, okay, well, I got this because I know from the last 3 years,
right,
this is my capabilities.
I may not have done some of this stuff before, I've never, but before then, I'd never picked up a sandbag and ran with it before.
Really?
Maybe I had, I don't know. I've done burden carries and burden runs, but not like a sandbag on my back.
Oh,
with
okay.
a plate carrier and a gun strapped to me. But I knew about how long it should take me.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just from, working out, and CrossFit gets a bad name because it's competitive and people are like, well, reps. The gym I work out is, if you're not doing perfect reps, you're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they will take weights off your stuff. Like they will slow you down or stop you and say, look, this is how you do this, or you're not continuing.
And that was the same thing at the gym I worked out at too. Like I think someone watches one of those fail videos and they assume that that's everything, right? But
coming from a kind of I'm not a competitive CrossFitter, but coming from a gym where you compete against other people, like your friends, you also find that line that, if you cross it, you're not coming back. Like you're done. Mm-hmm. And like you might be able to move through the rest of it, but you're not moving through at any kind of speed. So the stuff that I had no idea on what I was going to do, I would just find that 70-80% and stay there. And then when I got to something that I knew about how much effort to put into it without hitting that red line, then I would speed back up. And the number one goal for me was to finish at a respectable working speed every time, to where I wasn't crawling across the finish line.
Were there guys crawling across the finish line?
There was a lot of guys walking up to the finish line.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's just some of the stuff that you don't think is going to be that bad, like the wheelbarrows. You don't think a wheelbarrow is going to be that bad. I knew, because I knew when I started my landscaping company, I was pushing a wheelbarrow. I knew how bad those things are. But you'll see people just run off with them. You're like, oh, it's a long day.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, that was a bad decision. And
in obstacle racing, we called those people rabbits.
Yeah.
And then the wolves chase them down. You know, so the people that run like
super fast
out to that first obstacle, and then they're like, vomiting on the other side of the wall.
So what happens when you find one and they never stop though? Because in Burn It Through It, we did that Ranger course.
Yeah.
We had to run like 2.5 miles.
Yeah. At tactical games as well.
Right. And so we did that Ranger course. And it was like 2.5 mile run. And this guy in my group went running past me at like a 5.5 minute mile pace. I was like, right, I'll see you. Like, this is my second one. I've seen plenty of people spin out in front of me, and then I'll catch you later.
Yeah.
Never saw him again.
Really?
He gone. He finished like 7 minutes before I did.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's insane to think. Were you carrying your plate carrier at the time?
Yeah. And man, he was running like nothing was holding him down. He was.
Well, he wasn't. He probably wasn't jacked like that first dude that you were talking about.
No, he was about $150.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
And we even had to stop. There's a helicopter out there at Reveille Peak. So you had to climb the ladder, get to the top of the ladder, shoot some long distance shots, like 20, I think. Climb down the ladder, which you would think that would be long enough for me to at least get a glimpse of him again. And nope, he was gone by the time I got there.
Oh, so he did all that?
All that.
You never even caught him?
Yeah, he was gone. But that was probably within a quarter mile of the end of the race, that particular battle or whatever. So, but yeah, he smoked me on that one. That was, my daughter even let me know how bad I was.
Oh, you gotta love the honesty of kids, right?
Yeah. She was like, Dad, you're real bad at that. I was like, yeah, no. Thanks. Appreciate that one.
Not in front of my friends.
Yeah. I was like, I'm actually winning right now. She's like, yeah, but you're bad at that. It's like, okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
Cool. Bedtime just got rolled back a little bit.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
So, we didn't ever finish your first experience. Just say you won.
Yeah.
You won.
I ended up winning that one.
And Meridian, right? Meridian, Mississippi?
Yep. And after the first day, I was beat up.
Yeah.
I was tired. And I'd just done a CrossFit like 19.1.
Oh, yeah, because that was the Open was doing that time during that time.
And before I even started the first event, like I picked up a sandbag. I was like, I don't know if this is happening this weekend. Like, I'm in bad shape right now. And it was a rowing, the CrossFit workout was a rowing and wall ball workout. So my legs were just done.
Oh, yeah.
And then I hopped in a car and drove, to Mississippi. So that's real good for your legs. And
it's real good for recovery just to sit in one position for 19 hours.
So the acid just sits there.
Yep.
Yeah. But second day was actually easier for me than the first day because it was kind of like an active recovery, just a lot more intense than you would want it to be. And I felt better the second day. And they had live scoring, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. And when I showed up the second day was when I found out I was like 4 seconds out of first place. And luckily on the last day there were some events where it was more geared to the stuff that I'm good at. And
what kind of stuff are you good at?
Man, I'm not going to say it right now.
You don't want to give away the sauce?
No, I just don't. I don't want them to program something else.
Got it. We don't want, Tim, if you're listening.
Well, I mean, they know.
Skip ahead.
Carrying heavy stuff. I'm good at carrying heavy stuff. I'm a little bit taller than most of the people that are there, and I've always just, if I can get my arms around it, I can pick it up, and if I can pick it up, I can carry it. And
it's all that irrigation training, right?
Yeah, I guess. But it's a blessing and a curse because, man, it beats you down. But I can start running and go with it. So anyway, there were a couple of heavy events that I got quite a bit. I got ahead of everybody else on those. So that was good to see, or good for me to, validation of the stuff I'd been doing for the past 3 years was working.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was a lot of fun. The people were really good there too, and the event staff, man, they're invested in you doing well. Like, it's not like 3-gun where one person goes at a time. 5 people go at a time, and then each person has their own judge that's following them around, or most of the time. So, like on the long runs, they don't follow you like right there, but there'll be a judge waiting for you if you have to shoot during that run.
Okay.
And
so it's like CrossFit where there's a judge per competitor.
Right. And they want you to do. The guy that's following you is like, come on, man, you got this.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and then sometimes, like, if they can tell you're overdoing it, they're like, hey, got a long day left. Let's, But that's what one of the guys in Mississippi, it was the second to last event. And, I don't know. There's no way to know how you're doing when you're in the event.
Right.
Like
yeah, because there's heats, right? So there's 5 of you, but there's also 3 other groups or something like that, depending on how many competitors are there.
Yeah, I think in the last one there was like 6 groups of 5 in the elite.
Okay. But, so it's hard to. It's like 3-gun. It's like hard. Was that good? I mean, you don't know until you're on day 2 and your best competition did that thing on day 1.
You may have smoked everybody in your group, but there might be a whole other group of people smoking you, and you just don't know it.
Yeah.
And, I was like 50 yards from the finish line carrying water jugs, and the judge could see it on my face, like I was about to die. And he kind of whispered at me. He's like, hey, you're doing pretty good. If you want to put those down for just a second and rest, you're going to be all right.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
Put them down.
It's almost like having a coach with you.
Yeah. So, they help you not get lost. There's some things you have to do, and they don't tell you all of it up front. And so they spring a lot of information on you sometimes, or at least one of the battles is going to have something that you weren't expecting most of the time. And they kind of walk you through it. And there were several people, surprisingly, that didn't fully know how to put their gun back together in the last event. Not Mississippi, but in the...
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Have you met 3-gunners?
Yeah. And so they would start talking you through how to do it.
Oh, that's cool.
At a certain point. Like, they don't want you to fail,
Yeah.
But they give you the penalty by sitting there and, like, letting you wait. And then they'll start, saying something to you, or you can just take a minute penalty and not do it.
Right.
So, anyway.
Yeah, it's... What I saw a video of that on the Instagram, and my first thought was like, well, that's stupid. That's not even a shooting or a fitness thing.
That was my first thought.
Yeah. And I stand by that. But it also is it's like a mental challenge.
Yeah.
Because it requires dexterity and remembering when you're gassed.
It was surprisingly hard.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I mean, I've done it 1,000 times. It was hard to get that thing. And you got to start thinking about it ahead of time. Because if we had just come off a sled drag, I think, and it was a pretty heavy sled drag. And so you drag the sled back, you're gassed. But about halfway back from dragging the sled, I was like, I need to start thinking about what I'm going to do next to get myself out of this I'm a mule mentality to I got to put this together, and then start kind of going through it in your head and slow down a little bit and get ready for what you're going to do next. And then putting it together, like your hands are shaking, your fingers don't work right.
Yeah. I drop shit on this carpet all the time.
But
and I'm not working out when I'm building rifles, you know, so I can't even imagine like how many pins were lost. It
turned out to be, I mean, it was great. I loved it. I thought I was going to hate it, and I thought it was stupid. But everybody, if you think about it, everybody's got the same rifle. You put it together the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really good test, standardized test across the board of.
Yeah. And this is the bolt carrier group, right? It's completely. I don't know if we said that specifically, but
it was down to the firing pin.
Okay.
So you had to put it all back together, and then after that, I think there was like probably a 200-meter run, 300-meter run after that. So it's sandwiched by physicality, and then right in the middle of that, let's put all these little parts back together. Yeah. So it was a good time though.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned this when I had Tim on the podcast, but it reminds me this one Spartan race I ran in Colorado Springs. They had a board, and it had A equals number, B equals number, that kind of thing, and number equals no, I'm sorry, it was the other way. It was number equals A, number equals whatever, and your bib has a number on it, and so you're like, oh, I got to remember my bib number in alpha, right? So I'm like running the whole thing like Kilo Hotel Alpha Bravo, Kilo Hotel Alpha Bravo, and I'm just like, it's a mantra in my head for like the next 5 miles, right? And because we had learned that I think the Spartan race before that was in California or something like that you had to remember that at the end, and if you didn't remember it, it was a 30 burpee penalty, which is a lot.
Yeah.
So I remember that for the whole time. I'm repeating it as I'm climbing walls. It's the only thing I'm thinking about, and it's just like every single step is just like Kilo Hotel, just the whole thing. And we get to the end, and no one ever asked for anything. It's like,
gave you something to think about, though.
You sons of bitches.
Yeah. That's what, like going into something physical. I played golf in high school and college. Like, I always did the best when I was a little bit hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Because it always gave you something to focus on beside what you were doing.
Yeah.
So that probably helped you out a little bit, thinking about that the entire time. You weren't thinking about how tired you were. You're trying not to forget your numbers.
It's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think about that with hero wads. Like, you try to remember the people that you're honoring with like a hero wad.
Yep.
Instead of like how much this sucks right now. Yeah, exactly. I think that kind of helps a little bit too.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's talk about, let's switch it up. Let's talk about gear a little bit here, and then we'll get into strategy. So you brought your gear with us.
Yep.
For the people that are listening, this will be on the YouTubes later. You can check it out. But let's talk about the rifle. The rifle's a little bit specialized for this game. There's some certain rules that are different than what we normally think of in 3-gun. And I mean, you got to carry it, so lighter the better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 2A armament rifle. They're like 5 pounds, right? Super light. And there's definitely a balance there.
Hold that little gap for the camera.
There's definitely a balance that you want. You don't. It's not necessarily awesome to have like just every component the lightest component. You need. I rolled down a berm and burn it. I crawled through tunnels in Mississippi. Like, you're gonna break stuff if it isn't built well.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. Like, if you're out there building your own stuff, keep that in mind. It's basically the rifle rules are basically around the limited division in 3-gun, except you have to have backup irons. Not optional.
Right, which is weird.
So in Burn It, there was an event where got to the last firing line, and everybody had to turn off their optics and only use your irons. Well, I've got it's the same vortex you use.
Spitfire.
I turned mine off. My reticle's still there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's so I was thinking about that. I mean, that's the obvious gamer move right there.
Right.
And it works really well, and it's one of the big reasons that a lot of us use the Spitfire in competition, and why I recommend it for, truck guns and shit like that.
Right.
But I wonder if it's like in danger of being legislated out because of that particular thing.
I don't think so. I think Tim appreciates a thinking person.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't really appreciate gaming.
Yeah.
As in like getting an unfair advantage over somebody.
Right.
But if you're operating within the rules, like, for example, there was an event in burn it. I fell over those berms that are in between all the bays, kind of where the Texas 3 gun was 2 years ago.
Yeah, because you have to climb up and climb down, climb up, climb down.
Some of those are short. Some of those are really tall. And I fell over the second one. And right before I fell, I threw the bag over the top. And I watched it roll all the way down the backside. I was like, you know what? That is a heck of a lot easier than carrying it back down the side of it. So I picked up the bag at the bottom of the hill, ran over to the other one, climbed it, tossed it over the edge, let it roll down the backside of the berm on the next one, and all they said that you had to take it with you. They didn't say how.
Nice.
They had to take it with you. So, I mean, probably cut that work in half. Going downhill was just as hard, if not harder, than going uphill with it.
Yeah.
So
I saw a photo of you, speaking of sandbag, I saw a photo, I think it was of you, using the sandbag as a brace.
several times, yeah.
Yeah, which seemed to blow a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, if I'm taking it with me, I'm using it.
Shit, yeah. I mean, it's like open, right?
Yeah. If I take this 75-pound bag with me, I'm going to use it when I get there.
It's mine.
Yeah, if it helps me, So, I think
are they 75 pounds?
60, 75 pounds, yeah.
Okay. I need to get more sand.
In Texas, I think they were 75. I want to say they were 75. I don't know. They're heavy. They're heavy. Mississippi, I think me and Raven were the first two. We're in the same group, and we got to this picnic table and just laid our sandbag out on top of it, and laid the gun on top of it and started shooting. And it's like, I brought this with me. I'm just going to sit it right here.
Did anyone try to stop you?
No. I think I may have heard somebody say something to Raven, but he didn't listen. So we just kept shooting. It was
Sorry, I got earplugs in.
Everybody else, after they saw us do it, most people started doing it. So, and then the next event that was in Burn It, everybody was using them.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's like a thing. So it's a lot easier to shoot off a sandbag than it is off a wooden seat on a picnic table.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yep.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like, you would never zero off the wooden seat. You would zero off of a sandbag.
Yeah. But the other stuff about gear, the only thing I didn't up here that's super important is wearing either some kind of pants or shorts that have a lot of pockets. Because there'll be some of the battles that you go into, and you'll need 5 AR mags. I'm not going to keep enough room for 5 AR mags on my, anywhere, really.
Yeah, on your belt, your chest carrier.
So, like, I think 511 has the strike pants, something where inside the cargo pants you can have 2 AR mags.
Oh, okay.
And there's like there's holders for them specifically, and then there's that little pocket in the front. You can put another one in. So it's like it's managed and it stays where it needs to be, that kind of stuff. But and then plate carriers, like the 5-line plate carrier is good. It's kind of bulky. I wish I had a smaller one.
Is this the 511?
Yeah, that's 511.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting this. So I'm going to do the tactical games and Burn It when they come back in March. So I was thinking about getting this one only because it's used in CrossFit, and I was thinking, like, this is an athletic event. I'm not going to be protecting myself from any projectiles or anything.
Right.
So why not get the one that is for exercising?
Yeah, and I don't have any experience with like some of the other ones that I've seen people use. One of the guys, Jason, it's like Sarah's boyfriend or something like that, which I think you've met Sarah or talked to her.
Yep.
But he suggested one. It's like the JPC, Cry JPC or something like that. That it's the part that holds the plate is like the size of the plate.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not.
Is that not what this is? No,
this one hangs down. Like underneath the plate, it's got like. There's a lot of room down at the bottom by where your belt is.
Oh, like, yeah, there is, isn't there?
All that extra room. So if you can eliminate that, then that isn't like pinching between your mags and your gut, because even I have a gut. So yeah, it'll pinch a little
now,
bit.
Does this does anyone carry their mags on the plate carrier themselves, or is it just okay? But
yeah,
you don't.
No, I do.
Oh, you do?
It depends. Just like
just like 3-gun, you reconfigure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, like if we're about to do a run or something, because there's been 2 different events within the deals where you started without anything on, Right. So you just got your clothes on. You don't have any guns on. You don't have anything else on. Like for the Ranger course, we didn't have any guns or anything with us when we were, or the plate carrier when we were doing that. And
hang on to that thought real quick. We'll be right back when we reset the camera. And we're back. So on the Ranger course, you started.
Yeah, probably a better example is in Mississippi. We had to climb through a ton of tunnels. And it was
Right.
super tight fit. And so you didn't take your plate carrier, guns, or anything with you. So you had to run the first half of it with all your stuff on, then take it off.
Okay.
Get into the tunnels, go through these tunnels that were awful. And me and Raven, luckily, were right next to each other going through it. Otherwise, we were lost.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he was like, man, I'm sorry. I was right in front of you the whole time, slowing you down. I was like, no. If you wouldn't have been right in front of me, we both would have gone slower.
Like,
I was trying to
you,
keep
dude.
up. Yeah. And so you had to take everything off, and then you had to put everything back on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can attach everything to your plate carrier, then all you have to do is run up to your plate carrier and throw it on
okay.
and run
Does
off.
that include the holster?
Yeah. Safariland makes like a Molly adapter.
Mhm.
So that's just, I've got one for my gun or my pistol that I put on there. And anyway, so yeah, you definitely want to be able to adapt whatever you have to the specific event. Then it's the reason why I don't always carry everything on the plate carrier is a lot of times you're dragging sleds or you're doing something in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want that in the way.
Yeah.
Like trying to climb over a wall with all your stuff on your chest. That doesn't go well. So I know because I almost fell over the last time.
Trust me.
Yeah. You come over a 9-foot wall pretty fast and get hung up on it. It's not a fun ride down.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it's this thing on the other side has like an admin pouch up top, which I definitely recommend getting. So when you're looking for a plate carrier, it needs to have the Molly. There's some that are like the Slickster or something like that a lot of guys get, and you can't attach anything to it.
And you do want the ability to attach things to it,
right?
So
yeah.
get the Molly.
Get the Molly. Then this one has like an admin pouch on it that you can even stick your gun, like your pistol, down into. Because there's some events that you may not be using your pistol, but you have to take it with you. That doesn't mean you can't put it in a pouch and tuck it away for the rest of the deal.
That's what I would do.
So, yeah, those are important, but it's definitely faster and more convenient to have it on your belt if you can. But yeah, you just want to be able to adapt everything. You don't want to be locked into one way of doing it.
That's a good point. It's just like 3-gun with like the ELS belts we use.
Yep.
So, on the plate carrier, you want the Molly. You want something pretty slick.
Yep.
You have to have a certain weight of the carrier itself.
It's 15 pounds.
15 pounds.
With nothing attached to it. So if you put your handgun in its holster and attach it to the plate carrier, and that's 2 of your 15 pounds, you're out of luck. You got to have 15 pounds before you put anything on it.
Okay. So does that does not count like mag pouches either?
No.
Okay.
No, it can the weight vest itself only.
Okay. So do you have the rogue plates in here?
I do. Right now I've got the 16-pound plates, so it's 32 pounds, just because I'm not going to run around my neighborhood with all my guns strapped to me. So it's like simulating the weight.
It's Texas, but it's still.
Still, yeah. We're still close to Austin. It's simulating the weight, probably a little bit more of the weight that I'll be carrying during the events, without having to carry it around with me when I'm running through the neighborhood. It's weird enough to have a plate carrier.
Yeah.
So,
although that is getting a little bit more mainstream.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because of all the people doing Murph.
I don't think a lot of people in my neighborhood run very often.
No?
So, no, probably not. But, yeah, but the 15 pounds is where you have to be. And I do have the Rogue cast iron plates or something like that. I think they're just under 6 pounds each. And then it came to like a little over 13 and a half pounds with those plates. So I cut open a bunch of shotgun shells that got wet at a 3-gun match and took the shot out of them and put that in a Ziploc baggie and weighed it till it got to like 15.2 pounds. Then I wrapped all that, the tape that you use to wrap your thumbs when you're lifting weights. I wrapped all
athletic
that.
Tape.
Yeah, I wrapped all that in athletic tape so it like wouldn't. Because my worst fear is that they're going to have an event, and like when the event's over, they're going to weigh your plate carrier
Oh yeah.
And if you don't make weight, it's like,
Yep.
and you get to do it again on the clock. Something like that. So super paranoid about making the weight, and wrapped it all in there, make sure it's good, and I tuck it up nice and high in there so it stays in. So, but that's the way I got it to just over 15 pounds with the Rogue plates, was to add some shotgun shot to it.
Got it.
There's like 22 shells of shotgun shot, something like that.
22. Damn. Now, is there a bias front and rear for weight? Like, if you have extra poundage, do you put it in the back? Do you put it in the front? Put it in the front?
Because I started with it in Mississippi. I had it in the back, and it kept pulling the front up.
Oh.
You wouldn't think that, 2 pounds here or there would make that much of a difference, but it did. And I put it in the front, and now it keeps it off my neck. So you need that blood coming through your neck. But so yeah, if you're gonna put a little bit of weight anywhere, it needs to be on the front, not the back.
Okay.
So
I gotcha. Well, and all right. So anything else we want to talk about on the plate carrier?
I think that's it with that.
Let's talk about the pistol setup, because I'm super surprised at your belt setup. I was expecting like a battle belt cummerbund thing with like some pads on it and stuff, but this is just a very simple 511 loopy thing. $14 belt. Yeah. It looks like a $14 belt.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's going to get the job done, but it's not what I expected.
So you're moving a lot.
Mm-hmm. And this is soft. This is not like a hard inner belt like we have in 3-gun.
Yeah. So you move a lot. I have a battle belt, and the reason why it's not here is because I don't use it.
Yeah.
So to go on back to the plate carrier taking up a lot of room on your chest and like lower.
Oh, right.
If you have that and you start running, it really pinches you. I'm sure maybe if you did it differently, it may not. I don't know. And it didn't seem to stay right where I wanted it all the time. It'd kind of bounce around when I was running. So I was done with that even before it started. I never used it in competition.
Really?
Yeah, I used it once because we had to have a ton of gear for that stage or battle. And I kind of pulled an old triathlon move where I had it all ready and stepped into it and just like slid it up my hips and ran off.
I heard about that.
Yeah, so that's the only time I've used it. And then I when I was running, it kept shifting around, and the pistol started slapping stuff you didn't want the pistol to slap. So
that's not good.
That's probably why I'm never going to use it again. So
that's funny. When we did that 5K running gun, the Big Ben Blast and Dash, which was a lot of fun actually. I think I had like a couple matches leading up to it, and I just never got around to getting like a nice padded battle belt, which is what I planned, and so I ran in my 3-gun stuff.
Right.
And I had like bruises on my hip bones for weeks after that. But a lot of dudes had those battle belts, and I never really heard from anyone how it went. Yeah. But do you think like yours is inferior, or do you think the concept is inferior?
I'm getting another one. JTAC, I think, has one, and it has an inner belt, like it's just like a 3-gun setup, except it's not rigid, so you can still move around and climb ropes and stuff. But the Velcro being all the way around like it is in the 3-gun setup, I think it's going to keep it where it needs to be a lot better. And the profile's a lot slimmer than the one that I had, so I'm going to give that a shot and see if it works better. Just because I want to be able to take everything off immediately and put it back on immediately, without having to take my belt off and re-put on everything before and after each stage and weave the belt through it all. I mean, it kind of becomes a pain.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
I'll see if it works. I'm still definitely experimenting with stuff, but I get to be a creature of habit and I don't change stuff very much. So it's a big leap for me to add something to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I don't like, in spite of what I do for a living, like I don't really like changing gear up much.
Right.
Like I'm happy to shoot the same thing for years, or the same belt and stuff like that. But
the bottom side of this did slap,
the holster.
Yeah. It does slap my hip a little bit and leave a little bit of a bruise sometimes, but I'll take that over being stiff and not being able to feel like I can move.
Yeah.
With a big battle belt or whatever on.
Yeah. So you've got like a, low profile holster. It's not a drop. So hopefully reduce some slap. Oh, it's GLS. So locks it in.
It's the same one I use for 3-gun when I shoot.
Do they have
TAC Ops
rules? Like if you drop your pistol, it's bad, or?
Those rules are migrating.
Okay.
right now. So in Mississippi, you dropped your gun. The penalty was you had to spend time to go back and pick it up and put it back in its holster. Now the judge that is following you makes a determination on whether it was negligent or not. And but when we were in Burnet, guns were hot. And,
Yeah.
like, weird. For me, it was weird. For everybody else,
I got several pointed at me.
for everybody else, like, it's just okay. And I was like, all right, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so what we doing here? But
If I know the guys, like, well, see, this is always the thing. It's like, well, in a real life situation, whatever. If I know the guys, I'm fine with hot guns. But if I don't know
Right.
the people,
yeah,
I'm a little nervous about it. And at 3-gun competitions, USPSA competitions, the normal public range, you don't know anyone.
right. It's like Garrison said. He's like, we were up at the bay at Copperhead Creek, and he was like, yeah, well, he was like, there's not many people I'd walk down range and paint steel while they're shooting. He was like, but I know you're not going to shoot me.
Yeah.
On like the far other side of the bay. And that's true. You treat people differently when you know how they can handle stuff.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
and if they're just not going to do something stupid, but I don't know. So after Burnet, they made, or I think it may have been before Burnet, they made some changes to that. Then after Burnet, they made some more changes. And now the battles are designed to where you have fired your last shot of the magazine, because it's not like 3-gun where you just load in 22 rounds and
Yeah.
shoot. Like, it's very specific.
That's an interesting thing. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
load 11 rounds and come with me. Or
Right,
something like
right.
that.
It's very specific, and they tell you, like, all right, you need 4 mags for pistol. You need 10, 10, 10, and 5 rounds. And so you got one mag that may have 5 rounds, and the other have 10 rounds in them. Now they're designing it to where you're out. You've shot your 10 rounds, your gun's dry, you drop the slide on it, put it back in a holster, so you don't have a loaded gun, past that point.
I think that's smart.
Yeah, and they changed that with the rifle. They were letting people run around with hot rifles, and now at the line, your gun is dry when you're done shooting. Then the judge that is following you around they're right behind your shoulder, and so when it locks back, they visually inspect it. They make sure that they can see the top of the magazine, and then you can go climb a rope. Before it's like, well, we're going to shoot 3 rounds of 10. You can kind of load it how you want. Well, you might be climbing a rope with, a hot gun.
Pointing down at the crowd.
Everybody else seemed okay with, and that's just a culture thing, But for me, it's like, I'm not killing somebody today, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But they're definitely. The thing about Tim, super nice guy, super open to opinion, and does not get offended when you tell him. He wants you to say, hey, look, this is how this USPSA or 3-gun has done this for a long time, and here's why. And he's very open to it. He puts his spin on it sometimes, which is fine. It's his event.
He's also very adamant, like, this is not 3-gun. Like,
right.
I totally understand, but
yeah,
it's not kill anyone.
Right. But he's making the changes necessary to make everybody feel safe and to make it safe.
Which is good.
With keeping the tactical atmosphere alive, I guess. So, but things are changing fast. It's getting a lot bigger really fast. So I think he is able to stay ahead of that curve.
When you only have like SF and competition guys coming out to your match, you can run rules like that. But when you have dudes coming off the couch,
right,
and buying an AR,
right,
never having used one before, to go to this, then you kind of need to change your rules, which is the reason that USPSA, IDPA, 3-gun, USSL has all those rules.
Perfect example is the guy that owns the CrossFit gym that I work out at, Damon. I mean, he's a good friend of mine. His wife competed in the Atlanta event. I taught her how to shoot a gun 4 weeks before. So like she's still, even though like I taught her how to be safe, she's brand new with guns. And there were several other people there that you could tell were brand new with guns. And add the element of stress and all that other stuff. There's got to be rules, and Tim realizes that. He made the changes, and it's considerably safer than it was before.
That's good.
Yeah. So
I admire that, and I think that's good, because when you have like the spirit of an event that you want to have and you want it to be unique and you want it to be its own thing, it's very difficult to take that feedback and step back from it and say like, okay, well, we're still gonna be able to maintain the integrity of this event, but it will be safer for all that compete. And I think there are shooting competitions out there that don't really give a fuck, and they just, like, the big boy rules today. You're like, okay.
No. And the thing is, a lot of people have, pride and all this other stuff. Tim, man, he just wants to hear it. Mm-hmm. He wants to know how other people are doing it. Like, he went with Mark to 3-gun competition.
Oh yeah,
a week or two
Mission
after.
22. No, not Mission 22. Rock Hard.
Yeah.
Just
so he could I want to know how you guys are doing it.
That I think is cool.
So he makes the changes he needs to make. He's very open to it, very nice about it. If he's not going to make a change, like, he doesn't really explain why, and he doesn't need to. Mm-hmm. But all the changes that I'm like, this is kind of, we're out there right now. He's made the changes, and he was completely open to it. Just it's like, and I don't think it detracted from the event at all. But I feel like at the point where it's at right now, they can just keep it there. Like, it doesn't need to be any more safe. Inherently, it's going to be a little bit dangerous with what you're doing. I mean,
that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah, but right now, I would feel just as comfortable at a 3-gun match as I do there.
Good.
So
that's great.
I didn't feel that way 3 events ago. But
I was really surprised in that Burn It match that I went to.
Right.
How okay the judges were with dudes running off while reloading their magazine or reloading a magazine in their pistol and holstering and waving them at the entire crowd. It's like, wow, that seems kind of odd.
Slinging that old rifle around the back, and you're looking at everybody behind you like, whoo, just pointed a gun at you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Honey, why don't you take the kids home? Dad's done for the day. Yeah. So good for them. But on the flip side, I did a run and gun up at Jeremy's place, Triple C, a couple years ago. And afterwards, we're sitting there, we're chatting with one of the run and gun dudes that apparently he's some sort of like important person, or in his own mind, at least he was. I don't know, some sort of organizer. And so he was talking about nothing safety related, but just like how can scoring improve and timing improve, because at that time it was done like on a stopwatch. And my pal Wade was like, well, in obstacle racing, this is how it's done, and like there's all these, I don't know, 50 years of people running 5Ks, 10Ks, and marathons, and it's timed with chips for that 50-year period.
Yep.
And this is how we do it in obstacle racing. And the guys just kind of scoffed at it, and he's like, yeah, so we're still trying to figure that out. It's like, why are you trying to reinvent the wheel? No. Like, there's people that have been there and done that before.
See, Tim's 100% different than that.
Yeah, because that's good.
I mean, Jeremy Moore, and I mentioned his name, Jeremy Moore and Mark Roth have been pivotal in a lot of this, because obviously they both know what's going on. Jeremy's match is one of the best in the country.
Yep.
Mark knows what's going on. Super smart guy. They got him
been to about 1,000 matches.
Yeah, they got him in with practice score. I mean, Jeremy and Mark both educated them on how to use it for most of the part.
Which is great. So now I can see who's in the lead the night before the second day, which I really enjoy for my job. I don't know if other people look at that stuff, but
yeah. And so now, the reason why it's on practice score, he didn't even he may have known about practice score, but I mean they told him in Mississippi, hey, there's this thing called practice score. 3 weeks later, they're using it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Implementing it, and so he's 100%.
That's the cool thing about small companies too. We were talking about entrepreneurship when we started this, is that people are willing to do shit like that instead of just having organizational inertia of like, nah, we print stuff on paper. That's what we do.
Yeah, but that's one of the main reasons why I've stayed with it so much and actually stopped shooting 3-gun near as much is, I mean, the people running the matches are good people to be around. They're making changes to it to make it better. It's growing fast, and it's fun. So, I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I'm staying with it right now. So,
well, let's use that to pivot. You're talking about good people. Let's describe the culture at these matches. Like, what can you what are they? They're not called matches. Battles?
Battles.
Games?
Games.
Event?
I'd go with the games.
Games? Okay.
Yeah.
So describe the culture at the games. Like when you show up, you know, you like you said, you stepped out and you saw some dude that's like jacked and tan, and you're like, oh shit, I better go home. So like,
Yeah.
if someone's considering doing this and they're listening to this this podcast, which I hope they are, what do you think? Get off the couch, go training and shoot it, or what?
Yeah, I mean, so you can right now they have a program where you can essentially go, and I don't even know if you need experience, but you can be a scorer, right? That follows around and you
so
count
if you're
hits.
considering
If
doing
you're
it,
considering doing it,
Okay.
and it's going to be in your area, and then I believe you get a free entry into a games event within a tactical games event within a year.
that's awesome.
I think there may not be a time limit. I think it's a year.
That's why Spartan Race does it with their volunteers.
So you can get a feeling for it, decide if it's for you or not. The other thing I would add to that is the culture, maybe. Part of it is they want their event to look really cool, right? With their social media and stuff. And how
It does.
Yeah, I mean, how do you do
said
that?
Sarah, right?
Yeah.
She's
yeah.
killing it.
Yeah, she is. You do that by making stuff look really hard, right? It's not really hard. I mean, it is really hard. Let me segue. It's really hard if you're going to try and win. Like, you're going to have conversations with God daily, several times, throughout each event.
You're gonna go to the dark place,
Right. Yeah, that's something they talk about in CrossFit. You'll be there.
Yep.
Then, but if you just want to go have a good time and you're not worried about trying to win and you just want another experience, you don't have to be in very good shape. You can just go cruise through them. Do it at your pace and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's elite and intermediate. Just go in, sign up for intermediate and go at your pace. Like, if you want to push hard and see what you're capable of, you can do that. If you just want to go at a comfortable pace for you and shoot guns, go for it. So, and nobody looks, in fact, I would say, I mean, a lot of the judges were getting tired towards the end of the day on the first day in Atlanta. So it was women. I'm not competing against them. I was done for the day. So I told they call them battle bosses that run each deal. I was like, hey, if you need somebody to score somebody, just let me know and I'll follow them down. One of my friends happened to be in that group of girls, and I was like, I can't do it for her, but I can do it for anybody else. And I followed this lady that was like 65 years old.
Oh, cool.
And so she started getting tired. It was a wheelbarrow event. She started getting tired about a third of the way through it. I was like, look. So
Pick that fucking wheelbarrow up.
No.
Oh,
I was like, let's set it down. Let's find a spot down there that we're going to go to. I was like, and pick it up. And man, every single landmark we made, she made it to it. And
nice. And that's a small win along the way, too.
Yeah. And she had more people at the top yelling for her to finish than I've ever seen. I mean, sometimes I feel like when I'm at the end, people are like, God, that stupid guy's
Yeah.
up here again. But no.
That's that CrossFit mentality, man.
Yeah.
The person that is struggling through it or is missing the lifts, they're getting all the cheering and everything.
Yep. So it's not, I mean, it's people genuinely just want you to finish and do well.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, a lot of times in 3-gun things get like pretty clicky, and I'm very quiet and keep to myself if I don't know you from previous or like have common friends that have introduced us.
Yeah, it's like I think the first time you and I actually shot together was Colorado 3-Gun Championship last year.
Yep.
I was like, I don't think that guy likes me.
That's most people probably think I don't like him.
Yeah. Well, and with the 3-Gun, it's hard because you got like ears in and eyes on,
Yep.
So like you got shades, so
yeah,
you don't talk much, and when you do, it's really quiet. So it's just like you're sitting there like Dale Earnhardt, Intimidator.
Yeah. But he, they, man, super nice people.
Not clicky.
Not clicky. I mean, you can walk up to anybody and ask them for anything. I mean, and in 3-Gun, there's that, there's that too. But
in 3-Gun, you got to like bust through. You got to be the one to do it.
Right.
You have to go first.
Right. And like we travel with a group of guys from here, and most of the time we go eat with them. We go do all this stuff. And
it's just convenient because you stay in the same place and
and
shoot in the same squad.
Those guys, I mean, nobody really knows each other yet because it hasn't been going on that long. There's not a 10-year history of people knowing each other.
Yeah.
So it's very, very friendly, very open. And, you know, I'm still quiet, and I go find a spot to take a nap every now and then. But anyway, it's definitely different. It's a lot more relaxed.
It's also the early days, right? So
yeah,
you get the opportunity to create that culture,
right.
Whereas 3-gun, you know, you said you started in 16. I started in 2011. So it
may have been 15. I can't
15.
remember. Yeah.
So we stepped into a culture, right? It already existed, and so like you're on the ground floor. You get to be the sculptor.
I hope it stays just like it is.
Yeah, it's cool.
Because, like, I saw there's very few jerseys out there.
Yeah,
very few, and I don't wear one. And I mean, I kind of let people know beforehand that, like, I'm not really a big jersey guy. So you know, I'll probably eventually start wearing one in 3-gun. But if you showed up in a jersey to one of these, you might get some funny looks.
Yeah.
So
did Dylan wear his jersey?
Probably. No, he didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think he did. No, he was wearing T-shirts. And it's just, I hope it stays just like it is. Because right now it's just kind of like a raw sport. You get to show up, do your thing, and go home. It's pretty relaxed. And it's a lot of fun. Everybody's still super competitive, but it's also, you know, in 3-gun, as much as we like to say it's fast and loose, you have to stand there and remember, like, all right, I'm gonna load 4, I'm gonna load 8, I'm gonna load 2, I'm gonna do this, I need to be here. Targets are 400, 450, 600, whatever it is. In these events, it's like, all right, I'm gonna get murdered for this portion of the event, then shoot 10 rounds, go back to getting murdered, shoot 10 more rounds. Yeah. And then carry heavy stuff, climb ropes, run, come back and shoot. So it's not as mentally intensive because you're not fighting for fractions of a second, at least not yet. It's getting there. It's getting there.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, you know, it's the dawn of the sport, right? So it's like CrossFit. Like when Froning came in to the games and he just did the steady, just grind out, right? That completely changed everything. And like if you look at, I forgot what the hell the documentary is called, but when Jason Kalipo won the CrossFit Games when it was still at the ranch, like that was pivotal because they weren't even looking at that guy. It's like, who's this dude? He just won, you know? And at that time, the archetype of the ideal CrossFit athlete was completely different as far as like body type and physique goes. So
now I snatch 300 pounds.
Yeah. And then still do 300 pull-ups.
Yeah.
Just absolutely insane. Yeah, it's definitely no steroids there, but
no. They say there isn't.
Right.
We'll see.
I've seen the documentary. There's no steroids there. That's what people naturally look like. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so it's easy to make hay in the sport now, and you can make those vast, aggressive advances like Jeremy smoking, you know, the target at a much faster pace than most people thought possible, right?
Right. Yeah, it's I thought my grind was going to be fine until I got to Atlanta, and the events were much shorter in Atlanta. Like, if you were at the Atlanta event, you need to forget that event because that wasn't. I mean, I'm sure they'll do something like that because
it's like short course, long course kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't short course, long. The average event was probably 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, there was a couple that were longer than that. But I looked it up on the way home. My buddy was driving back, and I think the total event time was about 25 to 30 minutes shorter than both Mississippi. And so, I mean, just the overall time that it took to complete the event in its entirety was about 30 minutes shorter.
Interesting.
There's a less grind and more sprinting.
Yeah.
And when you're used to the grind and you don't sprint, you get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
That's when you get second.
I think of you as like a grinder, right?
Right.
Like you have mental fortitude. Well, and I observed this when I was out of Reveille taking photos. I was like, Jesus, like I can't believe how fast and long Jared's moving here, and you never put the freaking wheelbarrow down where everybody was putting it down every, few yards or something like that. But you seem to have like that mode of like, this is going to suck. Here we go.
Yeah. I always just want to finish.
Yeah.
That's, I've finished a lot of the events pretty fast, and if people just knew how bad I wanted it to be over, and if I put it down, it's just going to take that much longer for it to be over. So I just try and keep going.
But there is like a different gear that you go into, because I think it can be done, but a lot of people don't ever have to experience that gear, and I think being like a regular CrossFit athlete helps you get into that mode of like, you understand that it's only a 14-minute workout, and then I can rest. So I just got to grind through it, go to my happy place.
A lot of it's trained. So about twice a week, I don't make fun of people that go out fast, but I mean, I talk crap about people, but everybody does. But
I've done it.
I will go out fast. I'll pick about 2 workouts a week where the first minute and a half, 2 minutes, I try and blow out. Just blow my legs out, blow whatever it is, and then grind through the rest of it. A lot of the workouts that I do.
Seems like a terrible strategy.
Yeah, but man, you learn a lot about what you can do after you're tired, Then stuff at home, I'll do stuff that just blasts my quads and then start the workout. So that way you can learn, like, yeah, it burns, but it burned last week when I did it too. And you kind of learn how to push yourself through that stuff. And that's one of the things. I'm not as physically gifted as some of the people that are out there. Even some of the people that I beat regularly in CrossFit and whatever. It's just the ability to keep going when you don't want to keep going, or when you've perceived yourself at a certain amount of pain. You're like, oh, this is when I have to stop. You don't have to. You can always just keep going. And that's where you start learning that the average person is capable of a whole lot more than you think you are. You just have to learn how to push yourself to those different levels. And boy, sometimes you get stupid at those levels. Like, I couldn't answer a simple question sometimes. But you can keep going. You're just not smartly going.
I remember we had a rowing competition one time at my gym. This is like 3-4 years ago or something like that.
Yep.
And I showed up for like the Saturday WOD, and beforehand, like, some of the guys were doing it, and they're like, come on, why don't you do it? I'm like, oh, no, I'm going to do the WOD. And so I did end up rowing because I'm not good at peer pressure, but I went to a dark place.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I ever vomited after a workout. I like went outside and like I had nothing in me because I didn't have any breakfast, but I was just like yakking up bile, and I did not do the Saturday WOD. Like I just kind of like lied on the ground for the entire time. But that taught me of like, I'm not very good at sprinting, but that was like the one thing where I just gave it all I had, and like it certainly went black right at the end, and I just let go of the rower and rolled off the thing. And
that's what
I eventually got beat by a dude that was about a foot taller than me. He was like 6'8" or something like that. But
you can be good at rowing, but you got to have genetics for rowing. You gotta be tall. That's
exactly. And I think that's, I like to point out that's the only reason he beat me. But out of all the people in the gym, like, I was definitely not the most fit person, but I took second in that particular thing, and it was just that dark place.
You can ask Riley about that dark place.
Oh, Garrison. Did you put Riley in the dark place?
Garrison got him to come to a Saturday workout.
Oh, really?
Boy got tired.
Yeah.
So it was
man,
fun.
yeah. I think of all the people that I had come to the Saturday workouts, which is like, the friends and family, like, come on kind of thing. Only one person ever joined up. Everyone else is like, no, fuck that.
I don't think Riley will be back.
I don't think Riley's going to be back to Texas. He's been gone like 3 months now.
Yeah.
I think he has to give up his residency at this point.
Man, that's the main thing that I've been impressed with overall with the tactical games is there's people that have never shot before that are interested in shooting now.
Yeah.
Like Damon's wife that came with us. She had shotguns before, but not like at any kind of level. And she's like, hey, I want to start shooting. Then my other friend was like, yeah, I've shot before, but I want to do this because I do CrossFit and I think I'll like it.
Yeah.
He started shooting. And
I think this appeals to a broad spectrum because it's the fitness people, now I need to pick up shooting. The shooting people, now I need to pick up fitness.
Yeah. And I mean, Garrison started CrossFit a long time ago. But just the changes that it's made for him in competitive shooting is huge.
Yeah.
It's
big time.
I mean, getting involved in this stuff can only make you better at both.
And your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
so I'm going to shoot the Tactical Games 2020, March 2020 here in Burnet, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to pick your brain about training here real quick because I need to get my ass in shape. But before I do that, I'm going to go reset the camera.
All right.
All right, Jared, March 2020. Let me paint you a little picture.
Mm-hmm.
The March 13th, I turned 40, which I'm actually having a problem with. I've never had a problem with my age, but the 40 thing kind of looks a little scary.
Yeah.
But the 14th and the 15th is the Tactical Games at Reveille Peak in Burnet, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're within the sound of my voice and you're listening to this, so you definitely are, you should come down and shoot it with us. It's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
I got my pal Wade coming down. He's gonna shoot it with us, and a couple other friends from Colorado, possibly a buddy from Wyoming, that are not competitive shooters. They're gonna come do it. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
And
what's his name? Chad Torres.
Yeah, Chad's gonna shoot it.
Dude, he should come because right now I think is he bigger than Mark McGregor or is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mark McGregor climbing a rope was impressive. Scott McGregor.
Yeah.
Climbing a rope was impressive.
And Chad is an athlete. Like he is.
I've seen the dude run.
Dude moves like
move.
Yeah. So he's a college football player.
Mm-hmm.
Was. And homeboy's lost like 60 pounds since last season, I think.
Yeah, I've noticed.
He's putting in the effort.
It's cool to see. Like there was this last event. There was a big guy, historically small, skinny, endurance, but still strong.
Mm-hmm.
Is what gets you there. The shorter events.
Chad's going to come break the mold.
Yeah, the shorter events allowed some of the more brute force type guys to stay in it.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see kind of a different demographic was competing for the top. And
that's cool.
Boy, it's hard. Like when you got a 4-minute event and you got to put out a ton of power, and you look over at it's like Kalish. I forgot what his name was. But anyway, like. You can get yourself in trouble trying to pull some weights around with a guy that weighs 260 pounds. It's physics.
So, on that note, let's talk about training.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with since I just put that challenge out there to people listening, like, hey, come shoot it with us.
Mm-hmm.
And selfishly because I need a program,
and because it's 30 minutes away from where we live.
Oh, no. Yeah, for sure. Well, there's that. That's why I'm going, is because I don't have to travel, but it also works out for my birthday. But let's talk about like an introductory program. So like someone who's listening to this, let's assume they're, a 3-gunner. They normally, shoot club matches or whatever, shoot major matches maybe. They want to shoot the Tactical Games. Like, what's a good program for them to get in shape? Like, what kind of things should they be doing?
Varied workouts. If you can get a weight vest, if you're going to do it, you're going to have a weight vest, and I would suggest getting it fast.
Really? Get that right away?
Not so much the weight. 15 pounds isn't a lot of weight, but having it strapped to your chest and working out, there's definitely different breathing
Yeah,
because
it constricts you, for sure.
Yeah. But doing stuff that burns your legs,
You say this is mostly a leg kind of event?
Leg heavy.
Leg heavy?
Yeah. I say that, and now next time, they're going to change it up. But which I hope they do, because I've
noticed people do that with the match recons when I'm like, oh, this is the kind of thing you can expect, and there's really no long range. The next time I go out,
I've been waiting for that upper body stuff, because I feel like I could do pretty good at the upper body stuff. But you don't want to train for 5% of the event. So rope climbs, you may do them once, you may do them 3 times total. That's it. If you spend forever trying to learn how to do that, you're doing a disservice to yourself.
Yeah. By the way, there is a technique to climbing the rope, and it does not involve your arms as much as you think it does.
I can get you to the top of the rope in 10 minutes. If you don't know how to climb a rope, if you can do a pull-up or maybe two, probably one pull-up,
Yep.
I can get you to the top of a rope. It's technique. That's
Yeah.
it.
Can you stand up from the couch?
Yeah.
Yes. Then you can climb a rope.
Yeah. So, but I wouldn't. I mean, you can get 15 burpees with roughly 30 pounds. You know, when you add up ammo, guns, plate carry, all that stuff, it's not your normal burpee. But you're gonna have a rough weekend if your cardio isn't where it needs to be.
Right.
I would focus mostly on cardio, and like I've posted my run times a few times on. I'm not a huge social media guy, but like I try and represent the people I represent. So before I go running, what is it in that run time? I'll do like 100 jumping lunges. So my legs are on fire
Before the run?
before it even starts.
Okay.
Right. Or a bunch of air squats. You know, around my pool, I got this thing I can step up on. It's about 30 inches tall. So I'll do like 50 step ups. Something like that before you run. And you got to learn how to run while you hurt. Because if you're just running and like you start off like I stretched, I feel really good about life and all that stuff. Well, after you've drug a sled 2 or 3 times or done a burden carry and then you have to run, like you're already mentally behind the game.
Oh, yeah.
You need to learn how to run when it hurts. And so that's what before I start anything that I do, I make sure I'm in some kind of physical deficit, some kind of pain before it begins. But running with the weight, don't get into the weight too early. If you can't run a mile at a comfortable pace, you know, at I would say 8:30, 9-minute mile at a comfortable pace without breathing too hard, you don't need a vest. You're gonna hurt yourself.
Like you're gonna hurt your
muscles aren't
you're not
developed yet.
Yeah.
You're gonna hurt your feet. You're gonna hurt your ankles, your knees,
Mhm.
hips, everything.
tendonitis.
Yeah, if you can't handle a 9-minute mile, you can't handle that vest. That doesn't mean that you can't do it on the day you need to,
Right.
but don't do it for like 2 months.
That's a smart metric for
Yeah.
sure.
Then, like, I don't train with a vest, period.
Really?
About 3 weeks before an event, I'll put it on about twice a week and do a kind of strongman type workout, like pulling sleds, sandbags,
Water jugs,
stuff like that. I'll run maybe 4 or 5 times with it in like 2 to 3 weeks before, just to get used to the weight again, get used to breathing with it again. But my thought behind it is that there's too much overuse injuries, and I work out a lot, like 14 to 16 workouts a week, about an hour long, so about twice a day, 6 days a week.
Hang on. 14 to 16, that math doesn't add up. There's more workouts than days there.
Yeah, I work out like 2 or 3 times a day. So
God, maybe you need to get a job.
yeah, so like I work out in the morning,
Mhm.
and usually around 1 o'clock, I'll like with lunch, I'll do like a strength workout, kind of like your Gold's Gym type deal, like back squat or something. I don't know. Then in the afternoon, I'll do another workout.
Nice.
And that's just in the weeks leading up. But you're constantly walking that line of overtraining and overuse injuries and stuff. But even still, with the shape that I'm in and the amount that I work out at, I would not suggest just putting on a vest and getting to work, because you're going to hurt yourself.
Now, why is that? I would expect that once you decide that you're going to be focusing primarily on the tactical games as your sport of choice, which you have,
Right.
that vest would not come off. Like you'd be eating Cheerios with it on.
Yeah, so my theory, and it may be wrong, is that if I'm going to stay at the top of a sport, it's going to be because I stayed healthy and I didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
And I feel like that
that makes
vest
sense
is
for
a
sure.
one-way street to injury.
Really?
Yeah. So you're just not used. I mean, it's 15 pounds, but when you're running with 30 pounds, that vest is like 32, 35 pounds right now. That's on one leg. So when you're running, you're pounding 30 pounds into one leg, 30 extra pounds into one leg, several thousand times over 10 to 20, 30 minutes, depending on how far you're running. If you did that to any other body part except your leg, like think about your arm. Like, oh, I'm just going to put a 3 or 4 pound weight on my arm today and go around. Like, it would make a huge difference.
Go around punching the wall.
Yeah. It'd make a huge difference. And it's your back, your lower back, your legs, everything. Get used to wearing it. get used to breathing in it. In the day of the competition, you're not even going to think about the weight being on you. Like
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, 15 pounds isn't a lot of weight. I mean,
So you said 3 weeks out, you start putting the vest back on and
Yeah.
training with it again? Okay.
yeah. So, and I'll do that maybe 3 times a week.
Okay.
I'll run with it.
So it's not every workout then?
No.
Okay.
Just 3 times total a week. But I mean, I've always worked out a lot, or not always. In the past, I've worked out a lot, and then I got busy with work and got hurt, and then after all that, I started working out again. So, but even being used to the workload and working out a lot, I still wouldn't just go crazy with it. Just get used to wearing it, but not. It doesn't need to be a daily staple for you. So, what I would do is compensate with exterior weights. You know, like if you're gonna use a sandbag, instead of wearing a vest that weighs 15 pounds, like put 15 extra pounds in that sandbag, because then you get a workout with your arms, and all that other stuff, and you still have the load on your body, but it's not going to be on you the entire time.
Right.
So, other than that, I mean, just do stuff that mentally pushes you, where you got to mentally keep going. The answer to the goal is, if you're trying to win, you're going to have to get through a lot of guys that competitively work out. You don't competitively work out when you're doing bench press. You don't competitively work out, getting those big arms that fill the sleeves. Like
Chicks dig it though.
Yeah. The most interesting thing to me so far is the disappointed looks I get when they're like, "Oh, you're Jared," and they take they take a look at my arms and they're like, "Nah, whatever." Like I'm skinny guy. But
I described you to someone as the gray man, like the ideal like dude you forget.
Yeah.
Because you're just unassuming, you're quiet. You don't look like the dude you're describing. You're not jacked and tan or anything.
Yep.
You're wearing a green hat and a green shirt and tan pants. You look like every other dude that's around Austin here.
Yeah. I mean, the guy that beat me last time, he was at the burn event. He did the intermediate, and I got him there though. But he beat me in the last event. Same deal. He's kind of tall, skinny, obviously strong. You can't get around being strong, and being strong doesn't mean having huge show muscles.
Right.
There's two totally different things. But you could tell he was just functional with what he did. He was coordinated. He was obviously a good athlete, and he outshot me. I mean, he just did everything better that day. But the going back to what I was getting to, it's not, if you're looking in a mirror when you're working out, you're not doing the right kind of workouts.
Ah, damn it.
Yeah.
So I found when I was before I started the show, I kind of split my time between 3-gun and obstacle racing, and then when I started the show, I was like, obstacle racing is gonna go aside. I'm gonna focus on this.
Yep.
And unfortunately, like you, like trying to build a business, your fitness has a habit of going to shit. So I'm kind of building up from there too. But during the obstacle racing, I found that the general physical preparedness of CrossFit style workouts made everything in obstacle racing much easier.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't specifically climbing ropes. I wasn't specifically climbing walls. I wasn't specifically picking up and carrying Atlas stones. Those were things that I did, but I didn't do those every single time.
Right.
So I kind of get where you're coming from now as far as the training goes. So in the tactical games, there's like sled drags, there's water can carries, there's sandbag carries, there's running, but you're not doing those specific things every single workout, right?
No, and to be honest with you, it's probably I may not do enough of that stuff. The specific stuff, but in everything that you said, you're carrying almost everything.
Yeah. So
like grip strength is huge. Well, when you're cycling a barbell in a CrossFit workout, your grip's getting torched, and doing toast bar, doing pull-ups, anything. You're in CrossFit, you're constantly hanging on to stuff, and so that helps me out a lot. But
it also helps with shooting.
Yeah,
crush grip on your pistol.
Yeah, and boy, the tactical games has made me a better 3-gunner.
Yeah,
because if you can learn to shoot at 160, 170 heartbeat, you can shoot when it's not that bad. Yeah. But as far as training, focus on grip strength, focus on cardio. Don't get caught up in the race. You gotta run your race.
Mm-hmm.
If I finished, I don't know if I can make this make sense, but if the way I finished overall was based on the way I perform in the first 1 minute of every event, I would be maybe last place. There's if you look around and you're at a tactical games event and you find yourself in first place a minute and a half into the event, you've made a mistake.
Well, that's just like what we were talking about with Froning in the CrossFit Games, right?
Yeah.
Like he never came out and finished the first part of the chipper first.
Yep.
Never did.
Yep.
But he just did everything more efficiently than everyone's sum total.
And you can always make up time at the end if you have energy left. If you run out of energy, you can't get any back.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you can always find that dark place that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like if there's a sprint to the finish line, you can always dig deeper than you think you can.
And it's not the last thing that needs to happen is somebody to sit back and be like, well, I'm capable of that. Well, unless you've shown yourself that you're capable of doing something, like you just get out and move around a little bit before. Like you're just going to have a better time. So what I would, if I was going to go do my first event, if I didn't do CrossFit, I would start doing CrossFit.
Yeah. Just find a local box and
find a
join
local
up.
gym, and just for like 2 months before, you know, it'll be like $200 or $300, and you know, in 3-gun you would have blasted that away in ammo. You know, like it's not that much. It's like $250 for 2 months, I think. Get into a CrossFit gym if you can. If you can't, just do functional type stuff. You know, kettlebells are a good way to work your grip. Do all kinds of lunges, jumping lunges, just walking lunges, pick up some kind of weight and do lunges, air squats. And then instead of just going to run 3 miles, like run 400 yards. So 200 yards away from your house, 200 yards back, or meters, whatever. Come back and do a set of 20 air squats.
Mm-hmm.
Then run another 400, come back and do a set of 30 jumping lunges. Run another 400, come back and do 15 burpees. Just break it up, you know, where you can't just get in that runner's trance where you're just kind of along, whatever. Do a lot more stuff like that than just, hey, I'm going to go run 5 miles today. Because there's a lot of people that are faster than me at running, because I'm not that fast at running. I don't know if, like, with a vest on, I'm probably cruising at like 7:45 a mile, 8 minutes a mile. And I had one of the fastest times in the running event. And the reason is because we were going up and down hills and doing all kinds of stuff. And I was able to, for 600 yards, keep it together, go over an obstacle. Then for another 600 yards, keep it together, do that.
Yep.
And that's what makes a difference, is constantly varying what you're doing. So that's...
Yeah, when I was doing Spartan races, the most I would ever run at a time was like a 5K in training.
Mm-hmm.
Because no matter what distance you're running in a Spartan race, there's 25 obstacles in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not necessarily running that entire time.
Right.
And a lot of times there's hills that they demand that you go up. And so you're definitely not running those when you're carrying a 5-gallon bucket full of concrete. Like you're walking that.
Right.
So I get what you're saying as far as like the breaking up the training goes.
Since the CrossFit stuff and you're doing stuff with load all the time, like this last event, there was a huge hill, several huge hills, and I was able to run up the hills and made up tons of time. And that's, you know, being able to just to take the abuse and keep going, and to have trained yourself to do that. Like I said, you know, getting yourself in a hole before you start the workout, and doing the whole workout with your legs already burning, you know, and stuff like that. That's what teaches you to, like, hanging on to that wheelbarrow. It's like, boy, my grip is done, but I felt this before, and I was able to keep going before, so I can keep going right now.
Yeah, and I hate this to be like a CrossFit commercial, but like that is one thing that CrossFit does teach you, is that you've been here, you can do this.
Yeah. Yep. So that's like, you've been in that situation where you're like 2 or 3 reps ahead of your buddy, and you just hang on to something. Yeah. So
like I can hear so and so coming up behind me, like I got to run harder.
Yep. So, but it's I think it's opening up. You know, Jeremy Moore, I saw a picture of him. He just got a bunch of equipment.
Yeah.
He tagged me in that one. And I don't even know what that guy can think up. I don't even know if I'd want to go, to be honest with you.
Is Triple C going to have tactical games?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he posted a picture with himself with a trailer full of weights.
I saw that. I was wondering if that was just his training regimen.
No, that's a lot of weight.
Is it a lot of weight?
That's enough weight for about 5 or so people.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Jeremy, let's do it. I'm in.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to go.
Yeah, you're not going to not go. It's only 2.5 hours away.
Yeah, but I don't know. He's shown with his matches that he's got a different way of thinking.
It's kind of sick.
And if you add in weights, I don't even want to know what happens to that. So.
You know what is amazing about Jeremy? Just one small example is at that Meridian Games.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "You know what? I'm about 20 pounds too heavy," and then he lost 20 pounds for the Reveille Games.
I don't know if I'm giving away one of his secrets, but he looks like a really hard dude.
Yeah,
but he's one of the most helpful, nice people.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, hands down.
So he, but yeah,
he does though look like if if God forbid Arnold dies and they build another or they do another Terminator movie,
yeah, like
put Jeremy
Terminator.
there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But damn, I mean he does. He looks just like a hardcore dude, but just nicest guy out there.
If you looked up and needed help and saw him, you're like, I'm gonna wait for that next guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jeremy gets out of his truck. You're like, nope, I'm good here, buddy.
You need help? No, I got it.
Yeah, I got it. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good. I think it's gonna open up a whole nother avenue in shooting sports.
Yeah.
I mean, that may be a little too optimistic. I don't think it is. I mean, the amount of people that like to work out and like had curiosity about guns, and this gives them a reason to get out and start doing it.
Well, we talk about all the time, like in 3-Gun, like how can we get people in here that are non-endemic, like people that don't already shoot competition?
Tim found it. Yeah, you work out while you're shooting.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's cool. And then the shooting is like a very small portion of the games.
Mm-hmm. It's weighted heavily, but it's a small portion. Yes. So
yeah,
it's
so let's talk about that. So I think we have like a pretty good idea of like what kind of training to do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the strategy portion, and let's kick it off with shooting is weighted heavily because 10-second penalty for a missed shot is huge.
Yep. Like I mentioned, the running event. So I think one of the reasons why the events were a lot shorter in Atlanta is because they were expecting it to be like 98 degrees and 100% humidity. So I think they just didn't want any heat casualties, like people going down. But the overall, it took me like 13 minutes to do the obstacles and run and shoot 80 rounds. So if you dissect that, the 80 rounds equates to 800 seconds if you missed every time.
It's a lot.
So while there may not be a lot of shooting, it's worth a lot. You know, like if you go back and look at the times between me and the guy that won it this time, I beat him physically in every event. But he had 3 or 4 less misses than I did. 3 or 4, that's 30 or 40 seconds in a 4-minute event.
That's a lot.
You can't outrun those misses.
Yeah.
Like
when I had Tim on the podcast, he was talking about misses, and I can't remember if this was on the podcast or before. And I was like, well, that's a stiff penalty. And he's like, well, this isn't 3-Gun. I'm like, no, man, I get it. It's just It's just an observation. Yeah. It's not a judgment at all.
Yeah.
You know, but that goes into the strategy.
Yeah.
You know, so me saying, oh, that's a stiff penalty is just like an observation of like, hey, Dave, note, don't miss your shots.
And that's coming off of a 3-gun match and coming to a tactical games match is not good for business.
Yeah, where everything's like Comstock.
Yeah, I mean, you're just getting there and you're trying to yank the trigger. And, no, you got to – it's a whole different kind of shooting. I mean,
What's the farthest shot rifle-wise that you've shot in the games?
I think it's somewhere around 270.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's much farther than I would have thought.
I think in Atlanta it was 200. They're limited to the bay. There was a 200-yard bay.
And they specify a 1X optic.
Yep, has to be. Can't be anything else. And then you get I think in Texas it was 225-ish, right in there. But Yeah, with pistol shooting, like you can't get up there and just go to town.
No.
That's I got into that when I was this last competition. I shot the worst match that I've shot yet by far, and it's because went and practiced 3-gun style stuff, and boy, I just wanted to pull the trigger. I mean, I like going fast, so that's what. And
so for this, it seems like your shooting practice would just be making small holes.
right. Lots of bill drills on A zones.
Oh, yeah.
And they like to use pieces of paper on a cardboard target, like a piece of copy paper. So that's a good way to practice. Just put a copy paper up and shoot the copy paper. And it doesn't sound hard, but that paper gets small when you are
when you're gassed.
A lot of people think about what's happened to you physically when you're gassed.
Oh, yeah.
Physically, when you're gassed, you're shaking, all that other stuff. Mentally, when you're gassed,
you're losing vision.
Yeah, I don't really know about all that stuff, but
trust me.
Yeah, you can still see clearly. At least I've never had a problem seeing clearly. Your care level goes down.
Oh yeah.
You just don't care. You just want it to be done, and
and if I shoot fast through this, then I'll be done.
Right.
Rather than taking care about all those shots.
Right. Right. It's hard to stay in the game for a string of 20 shots or something like that. They don't do it anymore, but they did have a couple of targets where it's like, man, you got to shoot this thing 20 times and while you're standing here. And for me, the most I've ever shot at a target maybe twice.
Yeah.
I can't really think of other than like a spinner, but a spinner spinning, so you got to keep shooting at it. But staying on the same target for 20 shots gets mentally draining, especially when you're tired, just to keep hammering that target. But it's definitely worth it that when you get down to the firing line, a lot of people rush into shooting. Draw your pistol, get it ready, and then take a second to mentally evaluate if you're ready to start pulling the trigger before you do it.
Take some deep breaths.
Yeah, get your breathing under control. Make sure you're right before you start doing it. Because each time you yank that trigger and you don't get a shot, it's 10 seconds.
Yeah,
so
and that's a much different penalty than the 3 or 4 seconds it takes you to get a couple deep breaths and clear your mind.
Yep. So I almost got tracked down and burned it by a guy that he had like a quarter of the shooting penalties that I did, and I smoked him physically, and boy, he almost got me.
Yeah,
that was and it's surprising. I thought that I would be at the top tier of the shooters there, and I can shoot as fast as I want, and that's not the case. So you have to pay attention. The biggest trap I've fallen into is just relying on previous experience with guns, thinking, I'm pretty good at this other stuff. I'll be able to come over here and shoot these targets from 20 yards.
No that's a chip shot.
Yeah, 20 yards C-zone, got it. And you don't got it, I promise. So
yeah, that's what Mark Roth was saying when he was here. He's like, none of these shots are hard, but they it's the other things that surround those shots that are hard. So
Yep. So
yeah.
Anyway, but it's a lot of slow bill drills is what I've been doing lately. Just making sure I get hits, because boy, it's 10 seconds in a workout. That's a lot of work.
Yeah,
that you're just throwing off the target.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, other than that, with shooting wise, found myself surprisingly really slow at the stuff you do when you're not shooting. Like reloading out of these things is a lot harder than you would think it's going to be, especially when you're used to them. And the 3-gun rigs that we have, just they're sitting there ready for you to grab them. These, you got to kind of work them out. Fighting with gear sometimes, working with the slung gun, it's difficult. You get into a rifle position that's historically been a good one for you, and you're sitting on top of this 2 big balloons that just won't stop moving for you. And you figure out that your shooting positions have to change a lot. So it's good. It's a lot of fun. You learn a lot about shooting that you didn't previously know.
Good.
So
I like it.
Yep.
Well, cool, man. I think I have a good plan. I think the audience has a good plan for joining us at Reveille Peak, March 2020.
I think I already signed up, so everybody else can sign up now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to sign up. I better sign up before I drop the podcast, huh?
Yeah. Probably a good idea.
Note to self. Sign up.
I think it's like the week before or after Texas 3-gun too. So
yep.
Make a week of it.
Yep.
So,
Yep. That's what I'm planning to do.
Yep.
It's going to be a good time.
All right.
Come shoot with Jared and I. March 2020, Reveille Peak. Jared's going to be at several other ones before then, but
yep, hopefully.
Well, dude, I really appreciate you coming by and sharing the knowledge and your experience in shooting the tactical games and explaining to the rest of us how we should do it.
Yep.
Got any final thought? Anything you want to leave the audience with?
I mean, not really. I mean, for us, it's coming into it with the experience that you have in 3-gun. You are more than wholly prepared. Don't go out too hard physically. Main thing is don't go hurt yourself trying to get ready. You know, just what I would say is for the first one that you're going to do, like, get yourself ready cardiovascular wise, but don't just go crazy with weights and stuff and get yourself hurt, and then you can't do it anyway.
Right.
You're, for the most people, I would say, because there has been some people to show up and win. But for a lot of people, you're not going to show up and just crush stuff, right? So you might as well just like ease your way into it and be safe with it and not get yourself hurt. Because that's for me, I would feel terrible if somebody came out and was like, man, I'm training, and then bam, you get hurt. So
yeah, and then you gotta skip 3-gun matches, gotta skip this, gotta skip that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's a tough one. All right, man. Well, we're gonna finish off then with one last question, and this is from the Tactical Games Instagram. So this is likely Sarah messaged last night and said, "Hey, I'm gonna interview Jared. Anything I should ask him?" And she said, Ask about him being severely injured and not only rehabbing himself to function again, but going above and beyond and becoming an elite athlete. No excuses and no off season."
Preface that I'm not an elite athlete. You know, you want to find an elite athlete, you can turn on TV. They're on TV. But about 5 or 6 years ago, I was on the way to a deer blind. Just being a good redneck, you know, I had my foot out of the razor and a Polaris razor, and the front right shock tab broke on me.
Oh, you're kidding.
It was probably from something I was doing in it previously and weakened it or whatever, and just turned the steering wheel at the right way at the right camber, and it came off. The shock, you know, shot through the plastic little hood thing that's up there. The tire collapsed into the plastic and frame around it, and I woke up with a razor on top of me.
Oh,
and,
damn.
I wasn't seat belted. My leg was out of it. My fault, you know. And anyway, I had a muscle in my left quad separate for the most part. I still have a pretty good indentation of where it was. I broke my thoracic spine in 8 places and had a concussion, pretty good one. Couple years later, I'd still forget stuff. Like, I wasn't good with remembering what happened in the last 15, 30 seconds. Like, give me a couple minutes, I'll remember, but like not right now. And anyway, I kept going to the doctors. I say traditional doctors. I still believe, my wife's a pharmacist, I still believe in Western medicine. I'm not like a hippie or anything, but I got tired of painkillers and anti-inflammatories. Like, this isn't the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I went to college on a sports scholarship. Like, I'm going to figure my way out of this, just like I figure out stuff every day. And one of my neighbors kept hounding me, because even before that, about CrossFit, saying, hey man, you know, it's just fun. It's a good workout, you know, stuff like that. So about 2 or 3 years after, I guess for 6 months, I couldn't lift over 5 pounds because I didn't want surgery. I had known a lot of people that had surgery, whether it's a hip, a spine, whatever. And the doctor gave me an option: nothing over 5 pounds for 6 months. It can heal on its own, or surgery. And because I say broken, it was pretty good fractures, 8 pretty good fractures. Mm-hmm. So the bones were still together. It's just they were fractured. Or the vertebrae were. And anyway, I did what he said for about 3 months. And then, you know, as long as it didn't hurt, I would do it. And I got into CrossFit and one of my good friends' wives now, she's my friend too. She weighs about 100 pounds, and she was pregnant, and she's the one that was my first CrossFit coach, and she started my first CrossFit workout after you learn the fundamentals is a snatch, a muscle snatch, right? Which is you have to tighten up your upper back, and
seems like it would be
like
bad for a guy with fractured vertebrae.
And so they have the men's bars, then they have women's bars, and then they have even underneath that aluminum bars, which
trainer
are like
bars,
technique bars, and
technique bars.
So those weigh 15 pounds, and I was struggling with a 15-pound bar. It just wasn't going to happen. And so basically stayed with it, which is people's main problem, is they let their pride get in the way. Like I said, she weighed about 100 pounds. The coach that was starting me off, she could run faster than I could. She could lift more than I could. She could do more pull-ups, every aspect of the sport she could beat me at. And my first goal, which is humbling for somebody that was at once at the top of their sport, right? It was humbling to go into it with a goal of, all right, she's pregnant. And even after that, like after she had a kid, she came back like 8 weeks later, still faster than me.
Yeah.
Pushing her kid in the stroller, right? So that was my first goal, was I'm going to get better at this than her. And, that came and went.
Mm-hmm.
Then one of my other friends that had been doing it for a while was like, he's my next goal. Like, I want to start hanging with him at workouts. Then once that was obtained, I was able to do that. Then I picked another guy. I was like, I'm going to start trying to we'll now go through a gym of 100 people. There's one guy left that I can't get. And probably never will. I'm tall and he's not, and that's in CrossFit. If you're over a certain height, you kind of write yourself off. But,
yeah, pretty much.
I'm about 10% behind him. 4 months ago I was about 15% behind him. So who knows? But set small goals. Now I'm, I deadlifted 405 5 times last week. Whereas before, I don't even know if I was getting 95 pounds off the ground.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. Good for you.
Small steps, but that goes for anybody. You might just be I'm not going to talk crap about Garrison. Garrison was in bad shape. Like, Vortex a year ago, not
Mm-hmm.
this most previous one. I think that was his come to Jesus moment. And we're good friends. So I was honest with him. I was like, look, man, you hit a plateau. And right now you're one of the best trigger pullers in the game, but you just can't keep up with everybody
Mm-hmm.
else. And he got into it, made small goals, started making small changes, and dude, he's a different guy.
Yeah, he's doing great.
Yeah, he's strong.
Yeah?
Yeah, dude, he's stronger than I am. And he finishes stages without breathing hard. That was his main goal. Now he's got that. Well, he still shows up 5 days a week. And there's a lot of people that look like they're in shape that might say what they will about whatever. And but boy, if you're showing up to do something 5 days a week, Garrison would bury some people in some workouts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he
doesn't talk about it much. That's cool to hear.
He doesn't. But Garrison's a good athlete.
Good.
Yeah. So the changes I've seen in him and just other people come into the gym, it's inspiring to see people come in and they can't do a pull-up, and 6 months later they're doing 20 pull-ups,
mm-hmm.
Strung together.
Yeah.
And but yeah, as far as coming back to it and pushing it, I just small steps. I kept a small goal that was obtainable, and oftentimes even before I attained that goal, I'd change it. It's like, all right, I'm gonna go after this person, and I got close, and I was like, well, I'll get you soon, but I'm going to start going after this guy now. And so those are the changes I started making, is just small steps, one at a time. And you change something 1% a day over 3 years, you're a different person by the end of it.
Yeah, that's for sure, man.
Anyway, but yeah.
I like it. Dang, Sarah, great topic. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to end the show too, man. So thanks for sharing that. I do
yeah.
appreciate it, and thanks for sharing all your other information, dude. It's great to have you on, and great to hear about the cool shit with the tactical games.
Oh yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. See you on the range.
Yep. See ya.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.